13 golden era icons, silenced not by fading fame but by cancer's grip. Behind the glamour lay hidden battles and shocking endings. Stay tuned, these stories will change how you remember them forever. Number 1. Audrey Hepburn. On January 20th of 1993, Audrey Hepburn passed away at her home in Switzerland after a relentless fight against a rare form of abdominal cancer. The illness had begun in her appendix, spreading quietly through her body and leaving little chance for recovery. Her death at the age of 63 shocked the world, for to millions she had always seemed untouchable, a timeless symbol of beauty and grace from Hollywood's golden era. The final chapter of her life began in late 1992 when doctors confirmed the diagnosis following months of persistent abdominal pain. Surgery in Los Angeles revealed the disease was already advanced and treatment options were severely limited. Knowing her time was short, Audrey returned to her beloved Swiss countryside home. Surrounded by her 2 sons and close friends, she sought peace in familiar gardens and quiet moments rather than hospitals and publicity. Even in her last months, she devoted herself to the cause that had defined her later years. As a UNICEF ambassador, she traveled to famine-stricken regions, offering comfort and raising awareness for children in need. Those who worked alongside her often marveled at how she hid her suffering, channeling her remaining energy into service rather than despair. When news of her death spread, the reaction was immediate and global. Fans mourned not just the star of Roman Holiday, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and My Fair Lady, but also the humanitarian whose compassion reached beyond the screen. The tributes from fellow actors, directors, and world leaders painted a portrait of a woman whose beauty was matched by her humanity. Her funeral in Switzerland was intimate, attended by family and a few close friends, yet the grief resonated across continents. The loss felt deeply personal to millions who had grown up with her films. Audrey Hepburn's passing marked not only the end of a life, but also the end of an era, a reminder that even the brightest stars cannot escape life's most unforgiving battles. Her legacy remains one of elegance, courage, and unwavering kindness. Number 2. Humphrey Bogart. On January 14th of 1957, Humphrey Bogart died in Los Angeles after a difficult battle with esophageal cancer. He was 57 years old, and his death marked the loss of one of Hollywood's most enduring icons. Known for his sharp wit, gravelly voice, and unforgettable roles in Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, Bogart seemed larger than life. Yet in his final years, he was reduced by a disease that showed no mercy. The first signs of illness appeared in 1955 when he began losing weight rapidly and experienced difficulty swallowing. At first, he dismissed the symptoms, continuing to work and socialize, but the discomfort grew impossible to ignore. Doctors eventually diagnosed cancer of the esophagus, a devastating revelation in an era when treatment was limited. Surgery was attempted in 1956, and part of his esophagus and 2 lymph nodes were removed, but the disease had already advanced. Radiation therapy followed, yet his strength waned and even his once powerful voice grew faint. By the end of 1956, Bogart weighed barely over 100 pounds. Friends and colleagues who visited him at his home were stunned at the transformation. The man who had embodied toughness and resilience on screen now appeared fragile and exhausted. His devoted wife, actress Lauren Bacall, cared for him constantly, often by his bedside. Their love story, one of Hollywood's most legendary, became both heartbreaking and inspiring during those final months. When news of his death broke in January of 1957, tributes poured in from around the world. Newspapers mourned the passing of a figure who had defined an era of film noir and romantic drama. Fellow actors remembered his professionalism, his humor, and the unique charisma that had made him a star. At his funeral, attended by some of the most famous names in the industry, John Huston and Spencer Tracy gave moving eulogies, emphasizing both his talent and his courage. Humphrey Bogart's legacy lives on through the films that continue to captivate new generations. His portrayal of Rick Blaine in Casablanca remains one of cinema's most beloved performances, immortalizing him as a man of charm, toughness, and hidden vulnerability. His death from cancer was a cruel end, but his work ensured that his image would remain timeless. For millions, Bogart still represents the very essence of classic Hollywood. Number 3. Chadwick Boseman. On August 28th of 2020, Chadwick Boseman died at his home in Los Angeles after a private 4-year battle with colon cancer. He was only 43 years old, and his death shocked the world because few outside his family and closest friends even knew he was sick. At the height of his career, celebrated for bringing King T'Challa to life in Black Panther, he chose silence over sympathy, working tirelessly while enduring surgeries and chemotherapy in secret. His diagnosis came in 2016 when doctors found stage 3 colon cancer. Despite the grueling treatments, he continued to accept roles that demanded physical and emotional strength. He starred in Marshall, Da 5 Bloods, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, giving performances that masked his suffering. Colleagues later recalled his quiet determination on set, never revealing the pain he endured. The contrast between his radiant screen presence and his hidden illness became one of the most poignant aspects of his story. By early 2020, his condition had worsened as the cancer progressed to stage 4. Yet he still appeared in public, though noticeably thinner, leading to speculation about his health. Fans were unaware of the truth until the announcement of his death, which instantly transformed him into a symbol of resilience and dignity. The news spread rapidly across the globe, with millions expressing disbelief and grief at the loss of a man whose work had inspired so many. The reaction was immense. Social media platforms filled with tributes from fans, world leaders, and fellow actors. Former President Barack Obama praised him as a man of talent and grace, while Marvel Studios honored him as a true hero both on and off the screen. Vigils and memorials were held in his honor, particularly in communities where Black Panther had been a groundbreaking cultural event. His portrayal of a Black superhero had given pride and representation to millions, and his death felt like the end of a new chapter in Hollywood history. Chadwick Boseman's legacy continues to resonate. He is remembered not only for his roles in film, but also for his quiet courage in facing a devastating illness. His decision to protect his privacy while still giving the world unforgettable performances remains a testament to his strength. His story is both heartbreaking and inspiring, a reminder that true heroism can exist far beyond the screen. Number 4. Alan Rickman. On January 14th of 2016, Alan Rickman died in London after a brief but devastating battle with pancreatic cancer. He was 69 years old, and the news stunned fans across the world who had no idea that he had been fighting such a relentless illness. Known for his commanding presence, his unforgettable voice, and iconic roles ranging from Die Hard to the Harry Potter series, Rickman had kept his diagnosis private until the very end. The illness was discovered only months before his death, when he suffered a minor stroke that led to further medical examinations. Doctors soon confirmed pancreatic cancer, one of the most aggressive and deadly forms of the disease. He chose to share the truth with only a small circle of family and friends, continuing to live with the dignity and discretion that had defined much of his personal life. The rapid progression of the cancer left little time for treatment, and within weeks his health began to fail. Those who knew him best described his final days as quiet and dignified. He spent time with his wife Rima Horton, whom he had loved since his youth, and maintained his characteristic warmth and humor even as his strength faded. His passing came as a shock because he had been working steadily until shortly before the diagnosis, appearing in films and lending his voice to projects that showcased his immense talent. The announcement of his death brought an outpouring of grief from colleagues, fans, and cultural leaders. J.K. Rowling called him a magnificent actor and a wonderful man, while Daniel Radcliffe praised him as one of the most supportive people he had ever known. Tributes highlighted his generosity, his mentorship to younger actors, and the unforgettable characters he created on screen. His ability to embody both villainy and vulnerability had made him one of the most respected performers of his generation. Alan Rickman's legacy lives on in the countless roles that continue to inspire new audiences. His portrayal of Professor Severus Snape remains one of the most complex and memorable characters in modern cinema, a performance that revealed layers of humanity beneath a cold exterior. His death from pancreatic cancer was a profound loss to both the stage and the screen, but his work endures as a testament to his artistry and his spirit. Number 5. Gary Cooper. On May 13th of 1961, Gary Cooper died in Los Angeles after a long struggle with prostate cancer. He was 60 years old, and his passing closed the curtain on one of the most distinguished careers of Hollywood's golden age. Known for his quiet strength, stoic charm, and unforgettable performances in High Noon, Sergeant York, and Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, Cooper had become the very embodiment of the American screen hero. The first signs of illness appeared in 1960 when doctors discovered cancer that had already spread from his prostate to his bones. Treatments at the time offered little relief, and though he tried radiation and experimental therapy, his health declined rapidly. The disease caused constant pain, yet he remained composed, facing the inevitable with the same calm endurance that had defined many of his characters. Close friends recalled how he spoke openly about death, expressing gratitude for the life he had lived rather than bitterness for its brevity. By early 1961, his appearance at public events revealed how frail he had become. In April of that year, the Academy awarded him an honorary Oscar for his lifetime achievements. Too ill to attend, his close friend James Stewart accepted the award on his behalf, delivering a moving speech that brought tears to the audience. The moment symbolized both his towering legacy and the cruel reality of his condition. Cooper listened to the ceremony from his home, touched by the love and respect pouring from the industry he had helped define. When news of his death arrived a few weeks later, tributes came from around the world. Newspapers described him as a man who had brought dignity and honesty to the screen, portraying heroes of quiet courage rather than loud bravado. Fellow actors remembered his humility, his professionalism, and his ability to make strength appear effortless. To the public, his loss felt deeply personal, as though America itself had lost a part of its identity. Gary Cooper's influence endures through his films, which continue to inspire generations of actors and audiences. His battle with prostate cancer revealed a man who faced mortality with grace, refusing to let despair overshadow the legacy of his work. His death marked the end of an era, yet his presence on screen remains timeless, a reminder of a Hollywood built on integrity and character. Number 6. Gilda Radner. On May 20th of 1989, Gilda Radner died in Los Angeles after a harrowing battle with ovarian cancer. She was only 42 years old, and her passing left a void in the world of comedy that has never truly been filled. Known as one of the original stars of Saturday Night Live, she brought to life unforgettable characters with warmth, mischief, and a spark of vulnerability that made her beloved by millions. Her illness was first diagnosed in 1986 after months of fatigue and abdominal pain that were initially dismissed as less serious conditions. By the time doctors confirmed ovarian cancer, the disease had already spread. Treatment was grueling, involving surgeries and rounds of chemotherapy that often left her weak. Yet she never lost her sense of humor, writing in her autobiography about the absurdities of hospital life, even while confronting one of the most devastating illnesses a woman can face. Her marriage to actor Gene Wilder became a source of strength during this time. Wilder accompanied her through countless medical appointments and experimental treatments, determined to help her survive. Friends described how she continued to radiate warmth even in her sickest moments, lifting the spirits of those around her with a joke or a smile. She fought fiercely, but the disease proved unrelenting. In the final weeks of her life, she slipped into a coma and never regained consciousness. When news of her death broke, the entertainment world was plunged into grief. Fans remember her as the fearless woman who had opened doors for female comedians, proving that women could be both hilarious and powerful on a stage often dominated by men. Fellow performers from Saturday Night Live described her as a sister, a trailblazer, and a source of constant joy. Her funeral was small and private, but tributes came from across the globe, honoring her courage and her impact on comedy. Her legacy endures not only through her work on screen, but also through the Gilda's Clubs founded in her memory, community centers offering support to people with cancer and their families. Gilda Radner's story is both heartbreaking and inspiring, a reminder of how laughter can persist even in the face of tragedy. Her early death from ovarian cancer cut short a brilliant life, yet her spirit continues to shine in every life she touched. Number 7. Donna Reed. On January 3rd of 1986, Donna Reed died in Beverly Hills after a swift battle with pancreatic cancer. She was 64 years old, and her passing marked the end of a career that had made her one of the most admired actresses of Hollywood's golden years. Audiences remember her radiant presence in It's a Wonderful Life and her Academy Award-winning role in From Here to Eternity, films that ensured her place in cinematic history. Her illness was discovered only a few months before her death. In September of 1985, doctors diagnosed pancreatic cancer, a disease known for its aggressive progression and limited treatment options. Reed began chemotherapy immediately, but the cancer advanced rapidly. The decline was visible to those close to her, as the woman once associated with health and vitality grew frail in a matter of weeks. She faced the illness with quiet dignity, rarely speaking publicly about her suffering. At the time of her diagnosis, she was working on the television series Dallas, stepping into a role after Barbara Bel Geddes had departed. Her tenure was brief, as the illness forced her to leave the show before she could complete the season. Viewers who had grown up watching the Donna Reed show in the 1950s and 60s were shocked to learn that their beloved star was gravely ill. For many, the news seemed almost impossible to accept, as Reed had long embodied the image of the wholesome American woman. When the announcement of her death came in early January, tributes poured in from fellow actors, directors, and countless fans. Colleagues spoke of her professionalism, her warmth, and her generosity on set. Her family remembered her as a devoted wife and mother whose life off-screen was as full of grace as her most famous roles. The swiftness of her passing left many stunned, as the disease gave her little time to say goodbye. Donna Reed's legacy continues through the films and shows that carry her name. Her performance in It's a Wonderful Life remains a holiday tradition, keeping her memory alive for generations who never knew her in life. Her death from pancreatic cancer was a sudden and devastating loss, but her impact on Hollywood and on the hearts of her audience remains timeless. She is remembered as both an actress of great talent and a woman of enduring grace. Number 8. Frank Zappa. On December 4th of 1993, Frank Zappa died at his home in Los Angeles after a long struggle with prostate cancer. He was only 52 years old, and his death silenced one of the most unconventional and daring voices in American music. Known for his fearless experimentation, satirical lyrics, and refusal to conform, Zappa had built a career that challenged every boundary of rock, jazz, and classical composition. The first signs of illness appeared in 1990 when doctors diagnosed advanced prostate cancer. By the time it was discovered, the disease had already spread beyond the point of cure. Zappa chose to confront his fate openly, speaking candidly about the cancer in interviews and refusing to let it rob him of his identity as an artist. Despite debilitating treatments, he continued to compose and record, channeling his energy into projects that pushed creative limits even as his body weakened. His health declined steadily through the early 1990s. Public appearances became rare, yet whenever he did step before an audience, he received standing ovations from fans who knew they were witnessing a farewell. In one of his final public performances in Frankfurt in 1992, he conducted an orchestra in a triumphant display of musical brilliance, though he was already visibly frail. Those who saw him remembered the courage it took to appear on stage in the face of such pain. The announcement of his death in December of 1993 was met with grief from musicians and admirers across the globe. Tributes came from rock legends, classical performers, and cultural figures who praised him as a genius unafraid of controversy. For many, Zappa represented the ultimate artist, one who valued truth and originality over popularity. His work, spanning more than 60 albums, stood as a testament to his restless creativity and refusal to compromise. Frank Zappa's passing left a void in the music world, but his influence continues to echo in countless genres. He inspired generations of musicians to challenge conventions and to embrace artistic freedom no matter the cost. His battle with prostate cancer ended in tragedy, but his legacy is one of fearless expression and uncompromising vision. For fans, he remains a symbol of what it means to live and create without apology, a voice that will never be silenced by time. Number 9. Susan Hayward. On March 14th of 1975, Susan Hayward died in Hollywood after a difficult struggle with brain cancer. She was 57 years old, and her death closed the final chapter of a career that had made her one of the most powerful actresses of her generation. Famous for her fiery spirit and striking red hair, she had captivated audiences in films such as I Want to Live, for which she won an Academy Award, and With a Song in My Heart. Her illness had been diagnosed in the early 1970s, when she began experiencing severe headaches and dizziness. Doctors later confirmed brain cancer, and the prognosis was grim. She pursued treatment, including radiation, but the options at the time were limited and the disease advanced quickly. Close friends noted how the once vigorous actress grew weaker, though she continued to face the illness with the same determination she had often displayed on screen. During her final years, she withdrew from Hollywood to spend time in seclusion, away from the constant spotlight. Those who visited her recalled moments of clarity and warmth mixed with long stretches of exhaustion. Rumors swirled about the possible causes of her illness, with speculation that exposure to nuclear testing sites during the filming of The Conqueror in Utah might have played a role. Many of her fellow cast members, including John Wayne, later also developed cancer, adding a haunting layer of mystery to her fate. The announcement of her death in March of 1975 shocked her fans, who remembered her as one of the most commanding female stars of the golden era. Tributes highlighted her extraordinary ability to portray women of strength and vulnerability, performances that resonated deeply with audiences. Colleagues praised her professionalism, her intensity, and her refusal to be overshadowed in a male-dominated industry. Susan Hayward's funeral was attended by family and a circle of close friends, but her passing was felt far beyond Hollywood. For millions who had admired her, it was the end of an era marked by talent, beauty, and unflinching resolve. Her death from brain cancer was both a personal tragedy and part of a broader story of Hollywood's golden age stars lost too soon. Her legacy remains alive in the films that continue to showcase her brilliance and the unforgettable presence she brought to the screen. Number 10. Paul Newman. On September 26 of 2008, Paul Newman died at his home in Westport, Connecticut after a private battle with lung cancer. He was 83 years old, and his death marked the loss of a man who had become more than a movie star. With piercing blue eyes and an effortless charm, Newman had defined American cinema for decades, while also building a legacy as a philanthropist, race car driver, and activist. His illness was first reported publicly in the summer of 2008, though close friends later revealed that he had been diagnosed months earlier. Determined to keep his condition private, he quietly underwent treatments but refused to let the disease overshadow his final days. Even as his health declined, he remained devoted to his charitable work, particularly the Newman's Own Foundation, which donated millions to causes around the world. Those who visited him during this period described a man at peace with his life, reflecting on achievements rather than surrendering to despair. By August of 2008, his appearance in public revealed the toll of the disease. He was noticeably frail and thin, leading to speculation in the press. Newman chose not to confirm details, maintaining the privacy that had always been central to his personal life. He spent much of his final summer at home with his wife Joanne Woodward, with whom he shared a 50-year marriage that had become one of Hollywood's rare, enduring love stories. When news of his death broke, tributes poured in from across the globe. Fellow actors spoke of his generosity, his professionalism, and his unwavering commitment to craft. Directors praised his ability to bring honesty and vulnerability to the screen, creating performances that resonated with audiences for generations. Fans remembered him as the star of Cool Hand Luke, The Hustler, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, films that had shaped the very identity of modern American cinema. Paul Newman's funeral was private, attended only by family and close friends, but his loss was felt worldwide. The foundation he built and the countless lives he touched through charity continue to honor his memory. His death from lung cancer ended a remarkable journey, yet his spirit lives on in both the silver screen and the enduring impact of his compassion. Newman remains a symbol of artistry, integrity, and humanity in Hollywood history. Number 11. Jill Clayburgh. On November 5th of 2010, Jill Clayburgh died at her home in Lakeville, Connecticut, after living for more than 2 decades with chronic leukemia. She was 66 years old, and her passing ended a career that had earned her critical acclaim and admiration as one of the most fearless actresses of her generation. Known for her roles in An Unmarried Woman and Starting Over, she had twice been nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress, leaving a mark on Hollywood with her portrayals of complex, independent women. Her illness had first been diagnosed in the late 1980s. She chose to keep it private, confiding only in family and a few close friends while quietly undergoing treatments. Despite the relentless nature of chronic leukemia, she continued to work steadily, appearing in films, television shows, and stage productions. She balanced her career with her family life, raising 2 children with her husband, playwright David Rabe, and rarely letting her illness interfere with her dedication to both work and home. In her final years, her appearances on screen took on a new poignancy. Audiences admired her performances in Running with Scissors, Love and Other Drugs, and in guest roles on television series where her presence brought a quiet strength. Many later reflected that the depth of her portrayals may have been shaped by the private struggle she endured. Even as her health deteriorated, She never allowed it to overshadow her professionalism or her devotion to her craft. The announcement of her death in November of 2010 was met with tributes from across the entertainment industry. Directors and fellow actors praised her for choosing roles that reflected real women, flawed and authentic, rather than settling for stereotypes. Critics noted that she had opened doors for future actresses by insisting on scripts that gave women voices and inner lives. Fans mourned her both as a star and as a symbol of resilience in the face of illness. Jill Clayburgh's funeral was private, reflecting the same quiet dignity with which she had faced her disease. Her legacy, however, remains visible in the films and performances that continue to inspire. Her death from chronic leukemia was a profound loss, but her story endures as an example of grace, courage, and honesty. She is remembered as an actress who redefined Hollywood's portrayal of women and as a woman who faced life's greatest challenge with strength. Number 12. Farrah Fawcett. On June 25th of 2009, Farrah Fawcett died in Santa Monica after a long and highly publicized fight with anal cancer. She was 62 years old, and her passing brought an end to one of the most courageous battles ever lived out in the public eye. Best known as the breakout star of Charlie's Angels in the 1970s, she had become an enduring cultural icon whose image once adorned millions of posters across the world. Her illness was first diagnosed in 2006 after she complained of intense abdominal discomfort. Doctors confirmed anal cancer, a disease both rare and difficult to treat. She began aggressive therapy, including surgery and chemotherapy, but the cancer returned within months. Determined to fight, she traveled to Germany for experimental treatments while continuing to document her struggle with unflinching honesty. In 2007, she and her close friend Alana Stewart began filming her journey for a documentary that would later air as Farrah's Story. The film revealed the raw reality of her condition, showing not only the physical toll but also her determination to survive. Audiences watched as the once glamorous actress faced hair loss, fatigue, and relentless medical procedures with dignity and bravery. Her long relationship with actor Ryan O'Neal became central in her final years as he stood by her side and spoke openly about their bond. Their son Redmond also remained in her thoughts despite his own struggles, adding a deeply personal layer to her final chapter. By 2008, the cancer had metastasized to her liver, and her health declined rapidly. Public appearances showed her increasingly frail, but she continued to project resilience and hope. Fans were deeply moved by her openness, as few celebrities of her stature had ever allowed such an unfiltered view of their private suffering. When her death was announced on June 25th, the news was overshadowed within hours by the sudden passing of Michael Jackson on the same day. Yet millions still mourned her loss, recognizing the unique courage she had shown. Tributes came from fellow actors and admirers who celebrated not only her beauty, but also her strength in facing such a devastating disease. Farrah Fawcett's legacy lives on through her roles, her activism, and her willingness to confront cancer in front of the world. Her story remains one of inspiration, reminding generations that true bravery is revealed not on the screen, but in the struggle against life's most unforgiving trials. Number 13. Richard Harris. On October 25th of 2002, Richard Harris died in London after a battle with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was 72 years old, and his passing ended the life of a man who had been both a commanding screen presence and a larger-than-life personality off-camera. Audiences of a new generation knew him as Professor Albus Dumbledore in the first two Harry Potter films, but his career stretched back decades, filled with unforgettable performances in Camelot, This Sporting Life, and The Field. His illness had been diagnosed earlier that same year after he was admitted to University College Hospital with pneumonia. Further tests revealed lymphoma, a cancer of the lymphatic system. Harris himself joked to reporters outside the hospital that it was only pneumonia trying to lighten the mood despite the seriousness of his condition. Treatment began quickly, but the disease advanced with unforgiving speed. Even as his health declined, he insisted on returning to work, determined to complete his role in the Harry Potter films that had reignited his fame among younger audiences. By the autumn of 2002, his condition worsened sharply. Friends and family gathered at his bedside as he faced his final days with humor and a refusal to give in to despair. His death came just weeks before the release of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, making the film both a celebration of his talent and an unintended farewell. For fans, seeing him on screen so soon after his passing was a haunting and emotional experience. The tributes that followed were immense, Actors and directors remembered him as a man of extraordinary energy, capable of both tenderness and volcanic passion in his performances. His Irish heritage remained central to his identity, and he was celebrated at home as one of the greatest talents the nation had ever produced. His funeral in Dublin drew large crowds, with mourners lining the streets to pay their final respects. Richard Harris's death from lymphoma was a painful reminder that even legends cannot escape life's fragility. Yet his legacy is forever preserved in the films that continue to inspire and entertain audiences worldwide. His voice, his presence, and his intensity remain unforgettable. Do not forget to subscribe for more stories of Hollywood's brightest stars and their untold farewells. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.